Hello.
Hello.
Hello,
Hello,
everyone.
everyone.
Thank you
Thank
for
you for
joining
joining
us
us
today
today
for
for
our
our
State
State
of
of
the
the
Refuge
Refuge
LARP.
LARP.
My
My
name's
name's
Corey
Corey
Flegel.
Flegel.
I
I
am
am
the
the
president
president
of
of
Refuge
Refuge
LARP.
LARP.
Formerly, I
Formerly, I
was the
was the
owner
owner
of
of
Calgary
Calgary
for
for
about
about
11
11
years.
years.
So
So
it's
it's
quite a
quite a
long
long
time.
time.
And
And
yeah,
yeah,
with me
with me
today
today
are
are
some
some
awesome
awesome
folks.
folks.
Bailiff,
Bailiff,
who is
who is
our
our
chairperson
chairperson
from
from
Seattle.
Seattle.
Barb,
Barb,
our
our
director
director
and
and
owner
owner
of
of
PDX,
PDX
so Portland,
Portland,
and
and
Anthea,
Anthea,
who is
who is
our
our
director
director
and
and
owner
owner
from
from
Seattle.
Seattle.
Say
Say
hello,
hello,
everyone.
everyone.
Hi.
Hello,
Hello,
everyone.
everyone.
Hello.
Evidently, we're
Evidently, we're
getting
getting
some
some
nasty
nasty
echo
echo
somewhere.
somewhere.
Really?
Really?
Okay, I'm
Here,
paused,
let
so
me
I,
hold on. Let me try this.
it's
It's
definitely
definitely
not
not
me.
me.
All right, and now we're all quiet, so no one can tell if our echo is better or not. So let's hope that that is better. um, so yeah, it's been a
A
while
while
since
since
we've been
we've
able
been
to
able to
have
have
a
a
town
town
hall.
hall.
We have chapters that are running Discord events to keep the RP going. We've had a lot of in-person events.
Okay, can we try it now? Let's see if that works. Somebody's gonna have to say something other than me. Can anyone hear me? Can either of you hear me? Okay.
I don't hear on Zoom anymore.
What about now? Can anybody hear me?
Oh,
Sheena,
no.
when you say can only hear you, are you saying only hear me, or you can only
I
hear
can
Barb?
hear
Barb.
Barb through YouTube, but not Zoom.
Interesting.
Can't hear anyone else. Okay. It is. So Barb now has to give the presidential address, the chairperson address,
Yep.
and answer all the questions.
Yep, I think that's
Correct.
right.
Still cannot hear Barb.
Oh, people say they can hear me now, so there you go.
Oh.
And can hear Ente. Okay.
Me.
Yay!
Wonderful. Okay. I still cannot hear Barb though.
Derek says he can hear everyone. Yeah, we can't hear Barb through Discord, but I mean, I guess that's okay.
Yes.
There we go. Yeah, now I can hear you. Now, is it still echoey, or are we good for everyone? I'm just watching the chat roll.
Okay.
And
Oh, now me. Hi, everyone. I'll speak. Okay.
All right. I can hear all now but Barb. Can't hear Barb. So Barb, whatever you did to yourself, it didn't work.
Interesting.
Oh, Bailiff, you should chat as well, just to make sure we can hear you.
Okay. They cannot hear Barb. So I am wondering if there's an issue with
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Got it.
Okay.
If we have to, we will go ahead and have Anthea do
I can
the
do all the
Barb
questions.
and Anthea portions. That's the worst case scenario.
Yeah,
exactly.
Kaylee, just to answer your question real quick, this is for all of the refuge chapters, not just Boise. So if you have questions, please feel free to ask them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have some questions that were given to us through the forum. So first of all, thank you everyone for doing that. We will also be looking at the chat rolling through here on the YouTube for questions as well, and we'll get those queued up and answered as quickly as we can as well. So you'll have to bear with us as our typing skills are going to be put to the test whenever we're doing something live like this. But again, we have some exciting stuff coming down the pipe. I know a few people are curious about what's going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand this off to Bailiff, who's going to explain to you what the committees have been doing over the last few months. And take it away, Bailiff.
Hello, all. Good to speak with you. I am Bailiff. I am the Refuge Chair. And in case you're wondering what that means that I'm the go-between between the board and all of the committees that do the work to make Refuge, the communities that make Refuge work. So each of these individual committees have been tasked by the board with a very specific, this is what your job is. And this is kind of an update to the public of what these committees haven't yet. What?
I'm sorry. I got lost. Sorry.
Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So the committees are designed to go ahead and do these particular jobs. So first off is the Refuge Tech Committee. It is probably one of the biggest workhorses of Refuge. They're kind of an interesting committee because when they're working right, they're also one of the most quiet because they're in the background making sure that everything's working. They've handled over 250 different IT issues and are working towards even greater integration and improvements to the Refuge database. Some things that are coming up in the pipe for them is they're working on getting magic item registration, something that anybody who's played a game and has a bunch of magic item tags can find very frustrating. They're intending to eventually get that integrated into the Refuge database so that it's basically your character can just, you choose the magic item number and it pops up because it will all be in a main database. They're also planning on getting it for any of our logistics staff that are listening as a way for easy ritual scroll printing for all of the chapters to make it real nice and simple. All this is going to be going on while they continue to provide the great technical support that prevents the weird hiccups that may occur on our forums, database, and web pages. The next committee I'd like to talk about is the Refuge Rules Committee, which along with the RTC has been one of the busiest committees. Over the past year, they've been working on multiple soft fixes for the existing rule set. They've come out with multiple patches specifically for that. In addition, and there's going to be quite a bit more talked about this down the line, so we're going to be issuing a new patch coming up, the 1.0.6 patch that will be introduced in the upcoming month, which will include a full rework of the crafting system. In addition, work has begun on the foundations of a larger 1.1 version to bring many quality of game upgrades and new options to the Refuge system. Next up is the promotional committee. They've been instrumental in getting information distributed, just like this State of Refuge address. They were tasked with going ahead and making sure that this was pushed out multiple times so everybody got a chance to go ahead and submit their questions and knew that it was happening. If you're here because the RPC was doing their job. They've been chomping at the bit to go ahead and work on convention and promotional stuff, banners, pamphlets, and the like, to not only go to those outside locations, but also universities, drama clubs, those places where we all kind of come from. They're also prepping to make intro videos, intro to the game, rules, what you need to know for your first games, as well as some game podcasts and LARP discussions specific to Refuge. Next up is one that I am currently having to head myself, which is the Monster Committee. The Monster Committee has worked with one of our community's most renowned game designers, like they're a game designer in real life, to form a design document to make a national standard database for local campaigns to use as is, or as a baseline for deviating for that local flavor. In addition to that, we're going to be coming along with a how-to document so that if a new chapter joins the family, they'll have guidance from the national org on how to do things like scaling encounters and how to handle the iconic creatures of our games. Panther gas, anyone? Then we have the diversity, equity, and I always get the I wrong. I want to say inclusiveness.
Inclusion.
Inclusion, thank you. They've been taking deep looks at the needs and accommodations for any and all of our Refuge players and work with the RRC to ensure that any rules additions or changes continue to keep an eye towards accommodating everyone. In addition, they've been acting as a guide for all of the design committees, like the Monster Committee, so that we act in such a way so as not to create a sapient categorical other in gameplay, which is something that has been a thorn in the side of all role-playing games since the Gary Gygax days. And finally, since I've been going in reverse alphabetical order, we have the Accountability Committee. Over the past year, the Accountability Committee has handled a small handful of investigations, and they've done so in a remarkably independent manner to find the truth of each given situation. They've taken a look at some very high-profile cases and made determinations to the board as to what should or should not happen from those initial propositions. In addition to that, they've also been probably the greatest inspiration for how to conduct the refuge business in a very transparent and ethical manner, and we're very, very thankful for them. Now, one thing I would like to say is that if any of these particular committees that are out there sound like something that you would enjoy participating in, that you want to help at the national level, with the exception of the RRC, which has a very specific structure, please, you are always free to email me at rchair@refugelarp.com. I check that a couple of times a week. And if any of those sound like something that you want to help with, happy to have that conversation and see how that fits. So that's kind of a general, over the past year, very, very broad look at what our committees have been doing. So with that, I will go ahead and turn it back over to Corey to continue.
All right. Yeah. So, again, it's been a very long few years with COVID and everything. We've had a lot of downtime, unfortunately. We also have been actually very busy. For those that are interested in knowing some statistics, we've had 24 board of directors meetings. I think all of them in the last month. We've had 75 committee meetings. We've had, like I said, 49 games run. Discord's RP is happening on pretty much every chapter going on. So we are trying to keep everyone going and informed until we can finally, get out there and play safe. Every chapter has to run by their own standards. The provinces and states have all different guidelines, and we're going to try to make sure that all of our chapters are running within those guidelines and keeping everyone safe. So that's important. Ali asked for us to redo our intros because of technical issues. So again, my name is Corey Flegel. I am the current Refuge president. I was the chapter owner of Calgary for 11 years. And then I passed it off in December to an awesome group of folks who are going to take on the mantle. And I stepped up into the president's role that was vacated in December. Make sure everything's going good and keep going. With us today was Bailiff, who already has spoken. We also have Barb, PDX owner from Portland, and our hostess for this wonderful cast, and Anthea, who is our San Francisco owner. The other owners are kicking around, but we're the folks that are going to be helping everyone out today. So I'm going to pass this off to Barb and Anthea. We already had some questions sent in to us earlier in the past few weeks. They're going to go over some of the questions and answers. If you have any other questions, please post them in this chat, and we will try to get to them as we're going forward, and we'll go from there. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Barb and Thea, if you're talking, you're both muted.
Barb is checking to see if the chat can hear her.
Looks like it's a bit of Robo Barb.
We can hear you and it does sound solid on our end.
Yeah, Zoom is good, but YouTube is all robo-barb. In the interest of time, do you want to go ahead and just jump on in, Anthea?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start. Can the chat hear me? That's a big question.
Yeah, you're clear. I've been listening to the stream.
Okay, perfect. Hi, everyone. Like Corey mentioned, my name is Anthea. I am one of the 9 owners of San Francisco. I am also our representative on the board of directors. If you have not met me, hi. If you have met me, I'm sorry. Um, so I'm going to go ahead and cover while Barb works on getting her audio figured out. The first question, one of the big questions, you'll see kind of a little bit of a repeat of this question is when can we expect new rules, races, and the like to come out? With us not having many games at the moment, it would be the perfect time to discuss them. So as Bailiff and Corey have both mentioned, our RRC committee has been working diligently. Rules take time, species take time. There's a lot of balancing, there's a lot of numbers, and it is a network game. So we do have, I believe, 7 different games that we all have to balance our opinions on. Currently, we have a rules road map. We'll see if we can get a link dropped in chat for everyone to see. But we are looking at seeing a release within the next month. That should be our 1.0.6, which will have our huge crafting rework, which we're all very excited about. RRC is working really hard on getting our 1.1 released. So that one should be coming down the pipeline very, very soon. And we will be moving forward with that. One of the big things that we're trying to do is balance volunteer work because all of us are volunteers with real life, with the state of the current world and the effect that has on everyone, as well as making sure that we're getting rules that are easy to understand, easy for people to pick up and utilize, and not going to feel overly complicated. So that's kind of one of the big things, that's kind of the big challenge that we've run into, but we are actively working on it, and there's a lot that is going to be coming out real fast. One of the other big questions, what sort of progress can we expect in the near future to developing truly distinct ability pools? One of the things that we are working on is balancing out new skills, new exciting things that are different than what we currently have. There is some concern about redundancies in our skills, and we do have some redundancies. So kind of getting things collapsed together, getting things built out, worked around, all of that takes some time. And it is something that we are actively working on. We are going to be seeking feedback for our crafting mechanics. Again, that's our 1.0.6 and our schematics rulebook, which we'll be releasing within the next month or so. We'll also be releasing a new ritual rulebook of V2. That's very exciting. And we're going to be experimenting with some new abilities for martial stealth and basically all sorts of characters, especially leaning into sort of helping build up some of our martial and our stealth characters. I know some of us who've played scouts for forever are really looking forward to some new rules. I can't express how much I'm really looking forward to new scout rules. If you have any questions about that, sort of what that process is really looking like, you can always reach out to Bailiff, who has made themselves absolutely available all the time at the rchair@refugelarp.com email address. And we will be submitting, we'll be having feedback forms go live. The Discord is always a good place to post questions or concerns or thoughts. And we will be trying to do more community dialogue events like this. That's kind of a big important thing. One of my personal favorite questions that we received from our forum is, what are the absolute basics first-time LARPers should know? Which makes me very excited. I love new LARPers. The big thing that we all said when we saw that question was ask a lot of questions. We were all first timers. We were all newbies in the game. I remember my very first LARP something like 12 years ago. And I remember being absolutely terrified of asking any question because I didn't want to look silly in front of anybody. But always ask us questions, ask your local plot team questions, ask your local players questions. Everybody's going to be excited and willing to help you. We're all here to have a safe, fun time while role playing and while using buffer combat. So, go in knowing that people are here to ensure that you have a good time. And feel free to express yourself and say when you're enjoying something or say when you're not enjoying something. Remove yourself from situations you don't like and put yourself in situations you do like. All of that is very good and very important. One of the big things is the best way to check out this hobby is fundamentally live. But you can still get a lot of getting your feet wet, getting a sense for your community and the game around you by attending online events, by talking to people, by attending role play events. I always advocate for NPCing. I think it's a good way to sort of get a sense of how a game works, especially if you've never done it before. NPCing is a very safe way to learn some of the basics and rules. Another huge thing is no one's going to judge you. No one's going to judge your equipment, your gear, your performance. We all did it. Sometimes we're all on our A game and sometimes we're not, and everybody's just going to be happy that you're there. And the key, most important piece of advice is wear good shoes. Make sure that your shoes are comfortable and bring extra socks, lots of extra socks. Barb, how are you doing over there? Oh, we're getting typing. Okay, Barb needs 5 minutes, so you guys are stuck with me. I'm sorry. A question that we received: with the changes to species potentially occurring, will Stellarians get to keep their species-wide empathetic link? It's a lot of fun to play with, and it would be a bummer to lose. So we are not looking at taking away anything from any species at this time. Empathetic link will stay around, especially those flavor bits. People love their flavor. That's very important to them. It helps create a cohesive storytelling with other people playing the same species. So we're not looking at taking away anything from any of the species. We're mostly looking at adding and enhancing what we already have. So no signature flavoring is going to go away. Nothing that takes away the fun of a species will leave. We have a question about whether or not we are considering a level cap at any point in the future. This is one of those pieces that kind of comes up every now and then. Everybody's got opinions. Most people have strong opinions one way or another. Currently, it is not in discussion at this time. We are focusing more on getting our rules set up, getting new species, ensuring that we've got sort of our crafting worked out, our rituals worked out, adding fun things. So we're not looking at a level cap at this time. It's not currently off the table. I'm sure that it will come up to the board of directors at some point, and it will be a long conversation. There will probably be reaching out to the community to sort of gauge how people are feeling, gauge what options that we have that we can present. One of the big things that the board of directors and Corey really want to ensure is that everybody has a chance to feel like they are enjoying playing the characters that they have. We don't want to ever make people feel like they are losing out by continuing playing a certain way if that is what they enjoy. So if/when a level cap comes up for discussion, we can guarantee that it's not going to be a throwaway discussion. We can guarantee that it's not going to be something that doesn't get handled with care and with thought for the community. So I think that's very important. We received a question about why the call out for president was only a few days to collect applications during the very busy holiday season. That one was kind of a little bit of a rough situation. Paul, our former president, had to step down pretty suddenly. And we had about 2 weeks notice of him stepping down. And given the nature of the business that we are currently in, we have bills that need to get running. We have to make sure that our bank account is taken care of and set up. And we're also in the middle of finalizing and signing contracts. So we needed to ensure that we were able to set forth a president as quickly as possible. Corey has been on our board since the start of Refuge. And has been a member of owning Alliance and on the Alliance, basically the equivalent of their board of directors for a very long time. Corey's always been very good about hearing input, about being strategic about the way we approach things, and about caring for not only the community and the game, but caring for it in a broader sense as well, and kind of a pillar of our board of directors. And so Corey stepped forward and put his name forth and has agreed to take on. At this time, we are working on setting up a very secure and finalized process so that when Corey is ready to step down, I believe our terms are 2 years. We will have plenty of time to have a nice smooth transition process. We'll have plenty of time to put a call out for applications, to interview people, to make sure that we find the perfect right candidate for a successor and make that transition as smooth as possible. That is absolutely something we are making sure that we can do in the future. This transition, as much as we all understand, like stepping down has to happen when it needs to happen and life happens, it was a little rough for pretty much all of us. So we're working on making sure that we can make that even more smooth in the future. Barb, how's it going? Okay, we're holding off. Oh, there's hand gestures. I'm not great at those.
All right.
Oh,
Hold on just a second. Okay, how does that sound?
I can hear you. Let's see if the chat can hear you.
Staticky, it sounds like. We might be just overloading my internet connection.
That's totally valid.
Undertones of a warble. Do we think we can continue with that? Let's see if that helps. Oh, it sounds better to me.
96.4% better.
I'll take it.
I really appreciate the specificity
Precision.
there. That was excellent.
Yay. Okay, so next question. Okay, here we are. Over the past 2 years, 2 chapters have left Refuge. 3 chapters have new ownership.
what is causing so much dissatisfaction at the upper levels of the game, and what is being done to address it. All right, so this is actually one of those ones where I'm not sure that this is a true dissatisfaction with the game. Speaking from the Portland perspective, our owner chose to step down because he was ready to. He had been an owner for quite a while and was ready to transition away into a position that was not an ownership one. He's still on as our GM and is still actively engaged with the game. I believe that's fairly similar for several of our other chapters where that people have stepped down. So it's not like people are rage quitting and going home to play with their balls. We just go taking their balls and going, oh god, I just can't save that one. Laugh. It's fine.
Oh, keep going. It's wonderful. Keep going.
Anyway, people aren't rage quitting over this. This is a natural turnover where we're seeing people who have been so committed to the organization finding time to, in a state of relative peace, pass the buck and let somebody else take over and have fun. And it's fun. I'm telling you, from my perspective, I'm having a great time. Tech issues notwithstanding. And then we have the two chapters who left. From what I understand, and I was not intimately engaged with either of these situations, so this is what I've understood based on people coming on. Refuge Denver realized it was a couple years from true launch and had a lot of competition in the area, and they really weren't going to be able to make their situation work really reasonable. So they decided it was not something they were loving. They were not having moments of joy. So they decided to go on, do something different. Wichita really wanted to build a custom, non-networkable rule system to meet their local needs. So they also thought it was a good time to depart. So I don't think anybody was particularly dissatisfied so much as these sorts of things happen. And that's actually good for the game. In the end of the day, owners not feeling like they have to stay on in order to ensure the game can continue is good. That means that we feel that there are other people in the organization who have the wherewithal and the care and compassion to do what needs to be done. And that's healthy. And then other chapters recognizing that they need to go and do something else, that's also healthy. So I see this as actually a really good thing. And that's good for us because we continue to get new, fresh blood and ideas incorporated into our system. And that's great.
Okay. So the next question we got, again, like I mentioned, we got a lot of questions about rules and playtesting. And this one is, when can we start playtesting? So we have an explicit playtest cycle with scenarios and feedbacks ready for the forthcoming 1.1.0 rules drop. We're looking at starting that in April of this year and extending that through March 2023. So that is right around the corner. We're coming up on it pretty harsh. Our bylaws were designed to create basically a 2-year cycle between game versions. And we continue to anticipate having multiple low but not non-zero impact patches each year So we'll have a bunch of smaller rules coming out, clarifications, updates, little changes, tweaks. But we're looking at trying to have big rule drops about every 2 years. So starting in April. We are trying to keep an engaged pace that every game can keep on top of the rule changes, be able to engage with the playtests, and be able to get feedback from as many chapters as we possibly can. And we're really hoping to integrate all of that into live games very, very soon. We're really hoping that things calm down enough so that we can go back to live games. I know I've been missing them dreadfully in my own chapter, especially in an area where COVID has been real tight. We've been real tight here. So we are hoping to be able to roll into those very soon.
All right. Next question. How is the organization actively promoting the growth and the development of new chapters? How many new chapters can we expect to see on the horizon? Anyone's got a crystal ball handy? Vision ritual? I'll take it. No, in all seriousness, we did have Refuge Boise join us last year. They hosted their first game in August of 2021. Yay them. I really wanted to go, but COVID. They had over 40 attendees and are looking forward to celebrating more successes over time. So yay for Boise. We have had our leadership looking actively for new chapters. We've had some talks that I am aware of, but I don't know how far they've gone, with Texas, Southern Utah, Wyoming, and British Columbia. But what's really important here is if you know of anyone who is interested in joining Refuge, opening a chapter, please send them directly to our president, Corey. That is the first thing that you should do. We can post the president's email address. If somebody can do that, that would be great. And that would be fantastic. Then we can have more chapters. One of the things that the board of directors is really emphasizing right now is preparing for new chapters. We're starting to do some work. Shout out to Marley, who's doing some amazing work with this, trying to get some packages ready for new LARPers. I know there are other people involved. Marley's the first name that came to mind. Trying to get things like logistics packages and plot packages, and we're going to be doing some director mentoring and stuff like that. So we've got some great ideas for how to actually get people in a place where they can be successful once they actually have a chapter ready to go. So if you have anybody you can think of who might be interested in opening a chapter, please let us know. Please let the director know, the president know.
Okay, so I got stuck with all the playtest questions. And yet again, we have a question. Are there any rules updates in the near future? If so, what kind, and will there be playtests? Here is where I actually have a date. We're looking at a new rules drop on Tuesday, and that is going to be our 1.0.6. So that will be our crafting rework, and I believe our schematics rulebook, maybe the ritual rulebook. I'm not 100% sure on that. I have a hard time keeping up with everything. So we will be having that drop. Our patches do not have formal playtesting. So this will not have a formal playtesting process. However, if you have any feedback at all, please feel free to post it on our Discord, on our Facebook, reach out to your owner, reach out to another director if you like somebody better. Give us that feedback so that we can make sure that things get addressed, if there's any glaring problem or if something needs tweaked. We're all human, we don't always catch all of it. So that is going to be dropping on Tuesday. And again, our playtest for 1.1, our new version, will be dropping in April. It's like a super cool band album that you've been waiting for 2 years. We're dropping it in April. Just consider us Beyonce.
All right. Many players feel that the separation from Alliance was a bad idea, seeing the lack of communication from the board of directors. What is being done to address this, along with the lack of the apparent lack of progress Refuge is making? All right. So, I'll apologize first and foremost. We have kind of dropped the ball on the transparency issue. From here on out, you can expect every quarter that the board of directors votes that aren't part of private business are going to be made public on the forums. So from here on out, you'll see a lot more about what it is we're actually doing. Because I do promise you we are working on things. As you can see, we've got 1.1 coming down the line. We've got 1.0.6 coming. We've had 3 director changeovers in the last couple of months. Things are moving. We've got new ideas. We just put together a big document of game design pillars and things like that. We've been doing a lot of really interesting stuff, but we haven't been making that public, which means y'all don't know about it. Bad us. So we are very seriously taking this advice or this concern, and we're going to be moving forward in a slightly different direction from here on out, trying to make sure that it is obvious what we're working on. We will be trying to pull back that level of transparency or opacity. And then I would like to extend an offer to anyone. If you have a question about what anybody's doing, feel free to reach out to your director, your owner, the chair, the president. Somebody will answer your question about what's going on. And we don't always realize that you don't understand what's going on. It's like if you're in a math class, your math teacher has no idea what's going on in your history class. Sometimes you have to let your teacher know, hey, I've got a big project due that day, your test. Can we move the test? And the teacher will go, oh, I didn't know that. Sure. All right. It's kind of like that. Sorry, I'm a teacher. In case you couldn't tell. So we need to sometimes be made aware that there are these problems, and we will work to rectify them immediately.
That's me. I forgot what I was doing for a moment. So to sort of piggyback off of that, the next question we had is what is being done to increase transparency, to what's being done to advance the game. For example, in publishing board of director votes, the broad strokes of what RRC is working on, and other aspects that advance the game like new species. If things are being worked on, why is it kept secret? So sort of the big thing I want to address is the only committee that's work is not really kept secret, but is treated with very strong discretion is our accountability committee. And that is the nature of what our accountability committee does. They investigate formal complaints. They investigate complaints on a national level. So if someone were to make a complaint against an owner, it goes to our accountability committee. It does not stay in the local chapter. And so because of that, what they do is treated with a lot of discretion. It is kept a little bit more away from the public eye. However, none of our other committees are treated with any level of secrecy. You could ask anybody who works on our rules committee what they're working on, and they are more than welcome to tell you what's going on. The problem is less secrecy and more, like Barb said, we dropped the ball on communication, and that is our our fault. We should have been a little bit better about that, and we kind of failed to do so. So like Barb said, we are going to be regularly publishing our board of director votes. I believe that they are currently up on the forum as of right now, so you can go back and see every vote we've had, with the exception of one or two that needed to be treated with some discretion. Um, they're all up. All of our bylaws, I believe, have they been published, Corey, or are they about to be published?
Sorry, which ones?
The bylaws.
Bylaws have been published for a while. We do have a revision that has to be posted, but that's a minor thing that isn't too bad. But yeah, no, the bylaws has been up for a while.
Yeah, so our bylaws have been up. We also just posted refuge points. So who's earning what refuge points for their positions and for the work that they do for us. And we're trying to maximize our transparency. It can be hard. There's a lot that goes on. It can be hard to remember that X thing needs to be posted and we've forgotten about it. So we are working on doing that. We are going to keep a rules map communication up, so that you guys can kind of see what we're trying to work on. We're going to try to do that more. And our chairperson, Bailiff, is working on ensuring that she can post our committee updates. We've started getting regular committee updates at our board of director meetings, and I think we're just going to start moving that on to everybody's getting regular committee updates. So you should start seeing that about monthly, so that we can kind of get that out for you. Our promotional committee is gearing up to do more videos, more text updates on what's going off, on showing off characters and settings and rules and announcements. Um, and so we are working on being more open about that. It is, like Barb said, we did drop a ball there. We can recognize that we made a mistake, and we're going to try and do our best to rectify that as much as possible.
All right, next question. Will things continue to move at a glacial pace, or will it speed up? It's speed up. I don't think we've actually been moving at a glacial pace. We've just been really terrible about communicating. Again, sorry. We have had a lot of things going on, and it's been a pandemic, and it's been a mess. But we are working on things. We are moving forward. I think the visibility of that will become a lot more obvious in the next couple of months. So if you can bear with us until we've earned back that trust that things are actually happening and things are moving forward, we would really appreciate it, because we do want to be worthy of that trust. So, yeah.
Okay. So the next question. Rumors abound about new species, but what work is being done to make sure existing species are distinct and characterful moving forward? Some species seem so much more developed, while others seem objectively less thought out or realistic, even in the terms of the game taking place in a fantasy setting. Does adding a large number of species really make the game better compared to really dialing down on what currently exists? So sure, it's a rumor, but we've confirmed we are working on new species. That is going to happen. One of the sort of directives that we have come to as a board is that we want to branch ourselves out more. We want to take a step forward and move into being a distinct LARP that is our own. Rather than still being based on our predecessor. So we are moving forward with species. That being said, we are also keeping in mind that once games get going, once people are playing games, we'll be able to sort of track what people are playing better, what species people tend to gravitate towards. There may be collapsing of species, there may be expanding of species. All of this is sort of up in the air. Um, right now in crafting our species and our cosmology packets, we try to stick a careful balance between inviting everyone's opinion, of which there are a lot of us. There are a lot of us. There's a lot of chapters and there are a lot of people, and we all have opinions. We all have opinions, and sort of maintaining the trope that we wanted to have, and allowing to keep a lot of the creative power in the hands of the people who really try to bring that to life. So it's a little bit of a balance that we're trying to strike. Um, we have a really, really creative community, and we do try to avoid making monolithic decisions about sort of how a species will exist or interact or anything along those lines. We try to leave it open for a little bit more interpretation. Um, if you do have specific feedback, please feel free to communicate either again with your directors, let us know on the Discord, reach out to Bailiff, send a message, send a carrier pigeon if you like. I'm sure my cat would love to have a carrier pigeon show up. You can always reach out to me, and let us know, and we can pass that along and see what needs to be addressed and what we can change, and what you can also potentially do to sort of liven up a species. If you're playing something and you're like, man, this feels kind of flat, like I want something more, feel free to take something and run with it. Talk to your local plot, talk to your local chapter, see what you can create to help ensure your community feels as lively as you want it to be. And we really do actively encourage that. Um, so again, please feel free to reach out to us. We will be looking for volunteers to help us with crafting and creating new species in the future. You can expect those announcements on our Discord, on our Facebook, and in our next town hall if it doesn't happen before then. So.
All right. This is our last of the pre-submitted questions, and then we'll turn it over to your questions in the chat. And if you have them now, feel free to add them now. How are you working to keep players and chapters in this game? What is Refuge LARP doing to make it a desirable alternative to the other options out there? Real story, pandemic's been hard. We have a lot of chapters who are not doing as much of the gaming as they're used to because it's impossible to do. Portland just canceled a game that was supposed to take place in a couple of weeks, and it was really terrible, but it was the call we had to make because of the climate out there. So, you know, we're trying to do what we can, which is make reasonable, good changes to the rules set and a couple of other things, but it is hard to LARP when the live action part of LARPing is gone. So we are working on the rules. We're working on some design principles. What is this game going to be going forward? And then we've got some exciting things we can announce. I've been given permission to announce these. We are going to have a national online event in September of 2022 and a national in-person event in September of 2023, barring COVID. Keep, doing that. If you are interested in being on plot for either of these two events, who should we send them to? Bailiff, should we send them to you, or should we send them to Corey? I don't think we discussed this.
Plot, it hasn't been discussed, but I'm really good at finding who to send things to, so sure, send it to me.
All right.
I would say, yeah, if you're interested in being involved, reach out to Bailiff. We will be discussing in the upcoming meetings. That's actually on our docket in one of the next meetings to discuss the in-person national event and what that will actually look like and who is hosting,
Mhm.
because that is a big thing, is where it will be hosted. And once we are able to announce that, you'll be able to reach out to that chapter specifically if you would like to assist in the event. And then we will have decided by that point how we will be handling plot. And so, sorry to jump in there.
No, thank you.
I think we're going to be doing a very similar thing for the online national event. We'll be discussing how we want to handle plot for that soon, and then making our announcement for that within the next few meetings. And I know we're missing a board of directors meeting this week because I needed a break, and then we're back at it. Just for everyone's edification, we've had like 6 back-to-back board of directors meetings over the last 2 months. So we're really going hard over here.
All right. Do you want to do the next one in there?
Anthea, you're muted.
Sorry, I thought I hit the button. I got excited. So this is one of the questions from the live chat. Is it possible to go to a game for free to get a feeling of it? This is from Calgary. So you can reach out to your local chapter. That is really up to local chapter discretion. It's kind of hard because sites have different demands for how much they'll pay. Some sites will demand a flat rate, some sites demand a per head. Almost every single chapter that I know of, you can go and NPC either for free or for a reduced price. And that is a really good way to get a feeling of the game, of how it works, of sort of the various rule sets, the various different classes and the various monsters that you may be coming up against. I know I am always looking for full-time NPCs. Please come. Please come. I love NPCs. I basically like we buy food. We shower you with like as many like chapter points as I can give you. Like if you want Kool-Aid, like I'll go get you Kool-Aid. Like please come. So you can always reach out to your local chapter, ask what opportunities there are for you. I know my personal chapter is looking at also setting up what we are probably going to refer to as a guardian fund, which is where people can pay a little bit of extra money on top of their normal ticket to help fund people who can't necessarily afford the cost of a regular ticket. To help sort of encourage a more diverse gaming group. So you can always reach out to your local chapter, ask what opportunities are available, ask what they can help you with, and also what you can help with. So that is my recommendation.
All right. With 2 chapters leaving, is there any plan to move chapter points from those chapters to the remaining ones? I don't believe so. And I believe the reason why is because you can move your character into that chapter and get back blankets that way. So you can put them on the monthly blanket list and use your chapter points that way. But that's the last I heard was the plan. So I can check in or we can all check in and see what's going on with that. But I believe that's the plan.
Yeah, I believe it's a legacy system. And what we can do is request a nice, clean, easy to digest write-up of how to handle your chapter points. So we can get that posted within the next few days. That sort of explains the way that you can handle them. You will not lose out on them. Just so you are aware, you are not losing out your chapter points. They don't just disappear. They're not poofing into the ether. You do still get them. So we'll see about writing up a nice clear way of here's how we do legacy chapter points. That way it's easy to reference for everyone.
So we had a few questions in the chat about playtests and spirit forges and all of our fun stuff. So the basic plan right now is for 1.06. You can forge if you need to. The only difference in the rules for 1.06 is the new, well, there's a few things in there, but the biggest change is, of course, the production, the crafting system. So yes, we will be allowing that, but we honestly don't think you're going to need it. But obviously you can. The 1.1 rules are not set to come out for basically another year. So when we say we're going to be releasing a play test for 1.1, we're talking in April of this year. That play test rules will be coming out. And then people can, we'll have basically an entire year to work on them. One thing we ask everyone to remember is when we're in a play test like this is with, 7 chapters, everyone running a ton of events and stuff, there's going to be a lot of changes, possibly from one month to the next, of revisions, of tweaking, of this, everything seemed great on paper, and then you get out on the field and it doesn't work, or does not work as intended, or there's other things in the mix when suddenly you go from having an event with, when you write it down, to all of a sudden having a live event with 50 to 100 players on the field. Things can change gnarly pretty quick, and that's what the idea of our playtest is. So everyone just should try to remember that when we're doing this. We are doing it for the betterment of the game. We are looking at things like again, adding new species. That's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to seeing a few write-ups. We're going to be asking for people's, to jump in the next little bit here. We're looking at things. I know people have been throwing around the idea of a high magic system for the martial classes. So that's something, again, people are interested in. We're going to be talking with people more in depth about that, sending out some questionnaires, getting people's feedback. We always are asked if we're ever going to do a rules forum. And we found back in our predecessor that it just evolved into a lot of nitpicking back and forth. So we try to avoid that kind of theory crafting on a massive scale, because again, when, it's, you and your friends sitting around at a wings night chatting is a little different than, 7 chapters with 100 players in each chapter. Rolling around and throwing out ideas, it can get pretty confuddled. So RRC has been doing a wonderful job, working a lot behind the scenes to get 1.06 out, which I think will be a much larger change than some people are going to see or thinking that it has been, which we're very excited about. Let's see here, just going through the stuff. Yeah, so spirit forges are definitely on the table, because obviously if we're suddenly throwing out an entire new set of species, and some people want to try out those species, obviously we want them to play test them, we want them to try them. That does not mean we're going to allow people to spirit forge every month or every time we have to make a rule change or an update to the play test. But at the beginning of the playtest, definitely, and we'll look at through the rest of the process of if spirit forges are required, when they're needed. There's always customer service reasons for needing spirit forges as well, and that also includes species forges. When we say spirit forge, we're just talking the entire redesign of the character. So we are looking at that sort of thing. So I hope that helps answer some of those questions. So yes, we are looking at. I'm more open to spirit forges when needed for playtesting and stuff, because it's the only way we're going to get this stuff figured out properly. If we're saying you start the the alpha or beta test or whatever you want to call it, with XYZ character and you're locked in there for the play test, that doesn't really help the play test. Because some things are going to change. You can suddenly be like, I really don't want to try this, or this change was a little too radical. I would like to go back to, XYZ. And yes, we will definitely allow it. The nice thing with our database is it's very easy to go in and just literally go Spirit Forge, press a button, and it's done. Your character's blank. It sucks when we moved over. I still have to rebuild my character, but that's the way it works. And as long as everyone just goes into this with the understanding that these will change, things will be fluid, things will move around, and let's do this for the betterment of our game. That's the most important thing.
So we received a question about sort of clarification on the president role and how Corey was stepped in. I probably did not express this clearly enough. I apologize. It's been a long week. It's tax season. So we did do, just so everyone is aware, we did do a full interview process for Corey. We requested a resume, a cover letter, an interview. We discussed and we voted. There was no hand waving in. There was no just sort of like passing of the torch. We did sort of discuss, and we discussed kind of how to handle the situation at large and try to handle it the best that we can. And it just happened that Corey was a option that we voted in. So just to sort of assuage that this wasn't like a planned process, I want to make sure that I am clarifying that, because I probably did not explain that very fully. But the vote, I believe, is one of the votes that has gone up on the forum. So you can see that we did vote, and we do have the recording of the interview process. So the entire thing was taken care of. There was a full interview, a resume, and a cover letter receipt, just for clarification.
All right. I can take the next one. In the old LARP, we looked at Paragon paths that sadly never made it into 2.0. Sorry, if I'm talking really elongated, it's because I found that it doesn't crackle as much in my headphones when I do so. So if I sound weird, that's why. Anyway, Paragon paths. Have we looked at an equivalent for 1.1? I don't know.
I have actually. Rookie's one of my chapter players. In Calgary, we have run Paragons as LCO for a couple of years as a way for players to try stuff and for us to actually try out these systems. I have put it forward to the board. It is something that is being looked at as a general thing. But just as like everything else, it's a good idea on paper, but whether that translates to very good on a national scale is a little bit different. I can tell you right now, we've had a few of our players jump into these Paragons in Calgary. And literally there's been a couple that we have changed every single game. Something had to change on it because it was not working as intended. It was too overpowered, too underpowered, et cetera, et cetera. So again, yes, it might be something that is looked at, but that will be a much larger discussion in 1.1. It could be something we play test. Everyone goes, nope, and it's something we drop real quick. It's one of those things that it is a very, very rules intense part of a game. So that has to really be scrutinized, because when we're talking about, adding something that would dynamically change a character, 50 build point type idea, that's a lot of stuff for people to have to look at. And again, how does this interact with low levels? How does it interact with high levels? All that sort of stuff. So the answer is, yeah, it's kind of out there in the ether, but has not been dove into in any major way. But again, that's one of the things we're looking at for some players to possibly jump in on and work on, because RRC can't take every single rules thing, they would fall over dead. They're volunteers. They've been busting butt for a very long time. So we are looking for more hands make light work, especially when it comes to this sort of thing. But doing it in a controlled way that, we don't have 100 people trying to work on one thing and then nothing gets done. I hope that
Yeah,
answers your
so
question, Randy.
Yeah, so I should clarify. When I said I don't know, I was meaning with reference to 1.1. I know it's something we've been talking about, but I'm not sure it's going to be in 1.1. Might be in another one. Oh, if you're interested in doing national plot, please send that to the chair's email address.
I'll put a verbal call out for any further questions, just in case somebody is not following the chat, or if you feel like you have a question that did not get answered, or if you want clarification on any of the questions that we answered, please ask. We blocked out time for it.
Mm-hmm.
We should just play some Jeopardy music right here.
Also, for those following along at home, there is about a 20 to 30 second delay between what we see on in the Zoom and what you guys get. So we understand that there will be momentary pauses of uneasy silence.
Okay, I'm not seeing any further questions coming through. Can ask for emojis in chat. I would love somebody to just submit a question that is all emojis. I would spend the next 10 minutes deciphering it and then answering it in all emojis. I would be happy to do so. This might be a better question. So there's a question of, is there a planned timeline for getting the monster database out? And Bailiff, I think that might be a you question.
Yeah, that is a me question. The monster database, I can't give a hard and fast timeline. We've had some issues with the monster committee. I'm not going to beat around the bush here. It had I need to mute the, oh, I can't hear myself and talk. Okay, let's try that again. So I'm not going to beat around the bush. The monster committee has had some fits and starts. The biggest issue is that we have not had a huge amount of people who are willing to work on this particular project. It's been very difficult. There's been 2 false starts. We finally have a very small committee, and that is because I have basically taken on helming it myself, which I really shouldn't be doing. But with that in mind, my goal is to get it done. As with before, when I was the treasure policy committee head, we're going to push to try and get it done as quickly as possible. We have a good solid design foundation, but when you realize the sheer number of blocks of stats you have to do for Refuge Monster Committee, we're looking at probably anywhere from 400 to 500 separate monsters we have to work on. Because we have to make monsters that are the goblin that you will fight as a brand new level 2 character, and the goblin that the town will be able to fight with, 10 level 50 characters on the field. And that is no small task. I can share some design philosophies if that's something people are interested in, but really what we need some more people for that. That is the biggest one, that we need more people, and more people who have an eye towards analytics. Things like understanding time to kill on a monster, understanding the roles that monsters play on our battlefield, those kinds of things. My goal is to hopefully have it out within the next 6 months. I can't guarantee it, but that is the goal. So that's a long-winded answer to a short question.
So if you are interested in helping out the Monster Committee, if game design is something that you are passionate about, or something that you're very interested in, please reach out to our chair at refugelarp.com. We are looking for volunteers to do that. And the hope. So like stepping up is always helpful. Volunteering. We got another question of when the next national live event is scheduled. We have the live event scheduled currently for September of 2023. We are looking theoretically at the holiday weekend that month. We're making no promises, just because, scheduling is difficult with sites sometimes. But it is currently scheduled for September of 2023. Just for clarity, we will be considering the state of COVID-19 at that time. So we will be doing this safely. It's not we're going to do this rain or shine or disease. We are going to be carefully considering the safetiness of hosting a large event at that time. And we have an online national event scheduled for September of this year. So you can expect to see more information about that. You can expect to see call outs for volunteers for both events. The national event the online event coming out a little bit sooner, and the live event, we will be looking for volunteers probably just slightly later. So if you are interested, you can also pre-send an email, but you can also keep an eye out for all of those announcements.
All right, I can take the next one. Maybe two. Is there any potential for a make a copy of this character in the free play option for people wanting to play around or make tweaks to their character easily? I don't know. The person you should talk to is the RTC. You can access them through the database. If you click the little down arrow, there's a little button that'll tell you where you can find them. There's a report a problem or something like that, and you can send a message that way. Is the national online event going to be Zoom, Discord? It's going to be a combination of both and a couple of other tools, probably.
So I've offered to take lead on helping figure out the sort of online portion of how to run an online national event. I've written for one for a different LARP recently. I've helped run online events throughout the entire pandemic. Discord will be playing a huge portion of that, but we might also be looking at some other tools. There's a really neat tool called Gather. There's a really neat tool that Gather's a really, really cool tool that could make this a lot of fun. So we're not sure what that situation is going to look like, but we will be announcing all of that information long in advance. Because we will be setting that up long in advance. And if you have any particular skill sets that you think could lend very well to helping with an event like that, please feel free to reach out.
Is it posted anywhere what skills are needed or desired to be a member of the committees? Breathing. Being kind of responsible.
I
Yeah,
can feel
okay, let's
that.
go for it.
So yes and no. They've been placed up piecemeal, but honestly, I don't believe that there's an official repository for it. At the end of the day, the biggest thing is the ability to work well with others, because you will be on a committee. The ability to understand that you are working for all players of Refuge, not just your chapter or your campaign. And past that, it gets kind of, pardon me for saying this, it gets a little focused on each individual thing. Accountability committee is going to be, you're going to need to know how to deal with sensitive data that you have to be very hush hush, and you have to be able to do some investigation. Promotional committee, you need to know how to get things out to people and tell them that we exist, as well as, you know, how to use tools. It's basically a marketing job. If you know marketing, that's the promotional committee. Monster committee and rules committee are kind of, that's part of the reason it's been difficult to get a monster committee, is most of the people who I would pull for the monster committee are already on the RRC, because it's having a very analytic mind and an understanding of how our game rules interact. So if you have lots of game design, but you don't have a lot of Refuge experience or Nero style gaming experience, okay, yeah, I might take a look at that. If you have lots and lots and lots of Refuge experience and you've been, you know, running Monster Camp and you've been helping to create and work with monsters, but you've got no official game design, yeah, I'll look at that too. DEI is, do you have experience with how to get those how to look at our systems, not just our rules systems, but the very system and how Refuge is organized, and see where we can improve in getting more diversity into our game, how to reach out to communities that we typically have not been part of, and how to make sure that people who have issues of inclusiveness in our game can be accommodated. I'm trying to think if there's any that I missed, and I know I did. Oh, tech committee. What's your tech skills? I believe the one that they're really looking for right now is Ruby on Rails.
Yes.
Like, if you know somebody who, you know, love to have a Ruby on Rails project and they know Ruby on Rails, please let me know. We'll take a look at them. Let's see. Rules, monster. I think that, oh yeah, that's all of them. So
No,
that's
we got two more.
Oh,
Oh, the
that's-
committees.
yeah, that's all the committees.
Questions.
Questions, I'm sure there's more, but yeah, that's the general gist of it. And if you ever have any questions, like seriously, if you ever have any questions about the committees, please feel free to email our chair at refugelarp.com. I check it at least once a week, and it's my job to help this gist out.
It looks like we have a question of, is there a clear national goal for the roles and classes and the makings of the rules? Yes and no. We are looking at trying to buff some of the classes that have been historically underserved, scouts, artisans, trying to ensure that they get the sort of love that they really need. There has also been some starting discussions on potentially adding new classes. That is not a solid yes or no of what that's going to look like, what classes we're adding, anything along those lines. But I personally requested that RRC start looking at adding classes. We're looking at adding new skills that will be really useful for certain classes. Like I mentioned earlier, we're releasing the new crafting rework, which is a whole rework for the artisan class. And so what we're trying to do is really support what we have and help boost some of the classes that need some love, and potentially start looking at moving forward with adding new classes. I had one of my players recently propose wanting to see more tanky stuff and being able to like be a tank on the field, which I think is really cool. So if you have ideas, if you have things that you want to see, if you're like, man, I really want to play like this type of role and I just don't see how it's possible in our set, let us know, make a post, send in an email, do whatever you want, hit up one of your directors, so we can sort of throw that into the soup pot that is our rule set. So yes and no, we're working on it. We're working on a lot of little fixes and some more major stuff as well.
Is there going to be a new player guide for making a new character and more? Yes. There are a couple of people working on this. I've had a couple of false starts on this myself. I will attempt to make progress on this in the next few weeks or so. We are working on it. It is a project that we are aware of and are thinking about, but it keeps getting lost in the background noise apparently. But yeah, I'll put some effort into making my own efforts move forward. So, all right, last call for questions, I think.
And as a note, if you have a question, but you're not sure how to word it, if you're like, I have this thought, but like I don't know how to word right now, you can always post questions in our Discord. You can always send in emails. You can make forum posts. This is not the only time to get your questions answered, so please don't feel like you only have this moment, but also ask questions. I blocked off my evening for this. We need a theme song. Like we need a jingle, Corey.
We did have one question.
I'll work
all
on
in
that for sure.
emojis.
I did answer the all emoji question. I do hope that my emoji answer to the all emoji question was suitable. Please let me know if you need any clarification to that. Just throwing that out there. Also, I really appreciate that somebody said bet to my joke. Like, thank you. Yeah, refuge jingle, Corey. Like, top priority.
I'll put that right on the top of the list. I'm sure there's nothing else more important than a
Nothing.
jingle for our YouTube. I'm fairly certain.
Yes.
Can we have Corey make a refuge theme song?
See,
I
I told you, it's what the people
Oh,
want, Corey.
Yeah, I mean, as long as I ain't singing, because no one should be having to sit through that.
I mean, I think it's the only suitable way to go forward.
Well,
Yeah.
if we have any musician artists out there who want to make a refuge jingle, please feel free to make it.
I'll give refuge points on that.
We'd probably use it. Honestly, we'd probably use it.
Mhm.
All right. Well, I think at this point we're hour and a half in. We've wrapped up a lot of stuff. I hope everyone's had had some questions answered, and I hope that's Sheena's saying something that we did for a group called One Hit Die. Please don't look it up on YouTube. But anyway, as everyone's not going to look up One Hit Die. So yeah, again, thank you everyone for attending this. Thank you everyone for your questions. Going forward, we're looking at a lot of very exciting things coming down the pipe. We're going to get some questionnaires out to everyone so we can start, getting a feel for what people think is the most important thing to see going forward in the new year. I want to thank very much the board of directors, and extremely thank you to Marley, who is not with us on the call today, who is our secretary, who's been doing just an insane amount of work. All of our committees, all of our committee heads, Bailiff, who has jumped in as chair and has done just an astounding job, trying to get the three-ring circus under one tent and working. And of course, I want to thank Barb and Thea for joining on this today to answer all the questions, taking the lead on this. It's been wonderful. And I look forward to seeing what we come up with for Refuge moving forward in 2022. It's going to be a very, very busy and exciting year for all of us, I think.
We will be making a post about our next town hall. Again, you can expect to see this more regularly. My goal is for us to be doing this quarterly. So if you have any questions, post them on the Discord, post them on the forum, send in an email, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very
Thank
much
you
for
all.
coming
Thank
This
you,
has
everyone.
been great.
and for putting up with my terrible jokes.
You weren't the only one.
Yeah.
Falls in someone else's court now.
Oh, there we go. Thank you, everyone.